My name is Alina, and I've always been what you'd call a model tenant. Seriously, I paid my bills on time every single month without fail. I never threw loud parties, never caused any trouble, and treated the apartment like it was my own. So you can imagine my shock when, out of the blue, my landlord decided he wanted me gone. He handed me this piece of paper, a so-called eviction notice, with a completely straight face. He wanted my apartment back, he said. Just like that. But I knew the real reason. I'd seen the listings for similar units in my area. Rents were skyrocketing, and he saw a golden opportunity. He could easily get double what I was paying if he could just get me out of the way. He thought he could bully me into leaving. He thought I was just some naive tenant who would pack up and go without a fight. He was wrong. So very wrong. The notice he gave me was a joke. It was full of vague claims about needing to do major repairs and gave me a laughably short deadline. 10 days to pack up my life and disappear. 10 days. The sheer audacity of it was stunning. He was banking on me panicking, on me not knowing my rights as a tenant, but he made a critical miscalculation. He didn't know that I'm one of those people who keeps everything. I mean everything. I have a file for every important document in my life, and my apartment was no exception. I had the original lease agreement, every addendum, every single rent receipt stamped and dated, and a digital log of every text message and email we had ever exchanged. He probably thought our conversations were just fleeting words, but to me, they were a record. A record of his promises, his excuses, and now his lies. As I sat there, surrounded by my meticulously organized files, a plan started to form. He wanted to play dirty. Fine. Two can play at that game. I was going to do some digging of my own. I started with the basics, looking up my city's housing regulations. It didn't take long to realize that the eviction notice he gave me wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. It didn't follow any of the legal procedures. There was no official court filing, no proper service, nothing. It was pure intimidation. That was just the tip of the iceberg. The more I looked, the more dirt I found. I started by checking the city's public records database for rental licenses. And what do you know? My landlord's name was nowhere to be found. The entire building, which he bragged about owning, wasn't legally registered as a rental property. He was operating completely off the books. This meant he had no legal right to collect rent, let alone evict anyone. This discovery was like a key unlocking a dozen other doors. If he wasn't licensed, was he even declaring his rental income? A quick cross-reference with property tax records gave me my answer. He had the building listed as his primary residence, which gave him a significant tax break. But he was renting out multiple units, including mine. He wasn't just breaking housing laws. He was committing tax fraud. I also went back through our old text messages. A year ago, he raised my rent by 15%. At the time, I thought it was steep, but I didn't question it. Now, after reading the city's rent control ordinances, I realized that the maximum legal increase was only 3%. He had illegally overcharged me for 12 months straight. Every extra dollar he'd squeezed out of me was now another piece of evidence. The picture was becoming crystal clear. My landlord wasn't just a greedy guy trying to make a quick buck. He had built his entire little real estate empire on a foundation of illegal activity. He was cutting corners everywhere, exploiting his tenants and cheating the system, all while presenting himself as a respectable property owner. He thought his tenants were powerless, that we would never look behind the curtain. He thought I would be just another person he could push around, but he pushed the wrong person. I wasn't going to just move out and let him get away with it. I wasn't going to let him do this to someone else. He had started a war, and I was going to finish it. But I wasn't going to be loud or confrontational. My revenge would be silent, precise, and completely anonymous. He would never see it coming. My plan had 3 parts. First, I went to the city's tenant rights board. I compiled all my evidence: the fake eviction notice, the illegal rent increase, the text message logs, and my payment records. I filed a formal complaint detailing every single violation. I made sure to check the box to remain anonymous. This would trigger an official investigation into his practices as a landlord. Second, I moved on to the Department of Buildings. I filed a detailed housing violation report online. I reported the lack of a rental license for the entire building. I mentioned that he was performing repairs without permits, which I suspected was just a lie to evict people. But if he did try anything, he'd need a permit he couldn't get. This report would bring city inspectors to his doorstep. And for the final, most devastating blow, I went to the IRS website. They have a special form for reporting suspected tax fraud. I filled it out meticulously, explaining how he was claiming the property as his primary residence while collecting undeclared income from multiple tenants. I attached copies of my rent receipts as proof of payment. This was the one that would hit him where it truly hurt, his wallet. I submitted all 3 reports on the same day, then I sat back and waited. I didn't have to wait long. The fallout was faster and more spectacular than I could have ever imagined. About a month later, things started to unravel for him quickly. The first sign was a notice posted on the main door of the building from the housing department. It was a big red stop work order and a list of violations. The city was officially onto him. Tenants started talking. The person in the unit across from me mentioned that an investigator had come by asking questions about our leases and how much rent we paid. The whole building was buzzing. The foundation of his illegal operation was crumbling. He started getting hit with fines for operating without a license, fines for code violations, fines for illegal rent increases. The tax investigation was the killer blow. We don't know the exact details, but the word got around that he was facing a massive bill for back taxes, penalties, and interest. His income stream dried up almost overnight. With the building under investigation, some tenants used the opportunity to legally break their leases and move out. He couldn't legally rent the empty units to new tenants. He was hemorrhaging money. The irony was almost poetic. The very same week that my fake 10-day eviction notice was supposed to expire, a very real, very official notice was slapped on his own door. It wasn't from a landlord, it was from the city. Due to the mountain of fines and violations, the city was placing a lien on the property. He was in danger of losing the entire building. The man who tried to make me homeless was now facing the prospect of being evicted himself. He never spoke to me again. I saw him once, packing boxes into a truck, his face a mixture of anger and defeat. He didn't even look in my direction. He had wanted more money. He had wanted me gone. But his greed had backfired in the most spectacular way. In the end, he didn't just lose my apartment. He lost everything. It just goes to show you, sometimes the best defense is a good offense. And you should never ever underestimate a quiet tenant who keeps good records. That's the thing about greed. It's a terrible roommate. Eventually, it evicts itself. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever dealt with a nightmare landlord, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.